So feel free to still say anything you want to say. Okay, so. We are renaming so we've all shared those. So we're actually renaming this slide represents like what we have called it in the past, the JumpStart program, but actually we're renaming it the DVMC Leaders Program, and it's going to be a little bit different this year. We've revamped a little bit because we wanted to include our other years of scholars and our educational grant recipients as well. So we're going to be calling it DVMC leaders, and we're going to have the session dates will stay the same, and we've added a couple of additional resources and sessions for you. So, but these sessions are for you. They're really to help navigate and to help build your skill sets and to help you build a community that you can rely on as well, both in these sessions and outside of it. So if you know stuff, it's really meant to be kind of a community practice model. If you're familiar with that, then it's really to that everybody shares their knowledge together, as opposed to it being like a lecturer coming in and giving you all like sitting in school as a lecture. So really, it's meant to be because there are things that you guys know that others in this room will want to know, and I look forward to learning from all of you as well. So, as usual, we've always done this. We've done this for the past year and a half, and it's helpful because most of the time you have lived experience and you'll have to decide what is good advice for you. This isn't like, here's how to spay a dog, or here's how to deal with this biochem equation. This is really about these are I guess soft skills, but they're kind of critical essential skills, career skills, but you'll have to decide how to apply them. So I usually recommend that people take a piece of paper or even a post-it note, something small, and they just say, these are my ideas, these are things that I heard tonight that are good to go, and I'll apply them as they are. Number two, the second column is, I'm going to adapt this. I think this something that was said here is reasonable, and I can probably adapt that for my situation. Yeah. And then the third column is, yeah, I actually knew that already. That's great. Confirming that, yeah, that yes, I'm correct, and other people are also having that same experience. And number four is, that's not for me. That won't apply to me. And all of those are okay. But really, this is meant to be adapting and changing, and to build your experience as well and your knowledge. But we know that your lived experience is going to be different than mine and everybody else in the room. I'm older. I come from a different background. There's a different, I actually live in Canada. So there's lots of different things, but and then everybody you'll meet people from around the country. So lots and lots of different people. So just to give you an idea of upcoming sessions, we have a February date that we haven't finalized yet. We're bringing in some panelists to discuss about primary care jobs, so in veterinary medicine, and specialist jobs. And so we're just arranging that, and we'll hope to get a date to you very soon. In March, you have this on your calendar already. We have the mentor session happening. So you already gave us your preferences, and together with other scholars who are in upper years, you'll be grouped in groups of people who will have similar interests to you. So maybe if you said companion animal, or you said specialist, or you said wildlife, we'll try and group you together with a mentor who is a graduate who's already practicing or is in that area. And so they'll lead the group, but everyone will have knowledge to contribute as well. So that'll be in March. And then April, you'll have a career coaching check-in, just like you had in December with Dr. McIntyre. And then in April, we want to make sure that you know that deadline to tell us if you've applied to vet school, if you got into vet school, and make sure that you're telling the 1890s Foundation and reporting your grades in. We'll remind you, and they'll remind you, but just note that on your calendar, maybe put it into your digital calendar to remind yourself. And then in May, we're just finalizing the speaker, but either calling in or calling out and resilient skills, or there'll be another mentor session. June, there'll be a panel discussion in specialty and industry jobs. And then July, we're going to be talking about overwhelm and managing transitions back to school. This was a really requested topic by all cohorts because it can be challenging to get back to school, and it feels overwhelming to go to, either go into vet school or to move areas, or just to go back into September after being away for several months. And then in August, you'll get payments from the 1890s Foundation as you move forward into your second year of funding. So last session, we did a self-assessment tool. Curious to know in the chat, what areas do you remember that you were most focused on, or that you felt like you wanted to work on most? If you don't remember back that far, also feel free to tell me, because I did, we can always look it up for you as well and send you a copy of it if you didn't get it. I'm going to check the chat. Don't remember. Okay, I do remember several people wanting to work that they had identified that networking and mentorship was a big area. Um, and so I will make sure that I'll take a look and see if we can find if we can find them as well, because we can send you a copy of it as well if you don't have it. Okay, and Jimmy, I saw your note as well. Okay. Wow. All right, so I have a couple of questions for you. I'm going to stop sharing so that I can open up the poll everywhere. So 1 second here. I'll put the link in the chat so that you guys can grab it. Okay, so just give me 1 second and I'll open up the polls. Yeah, 3 questions for you before we get started because we can really tailor this because some of you might need different things. So poll everywhere, 1 second. All right, where are my activities? Okay. Okay. Mm, Okay, sorry, I'm just opening them up here. 1 minute here. Okay, there should be one that's coming up for you. If you click on that link, are you able to see anything? Okay, great. Awesome. I'm going to open up a second one as well. Okay, so you're going to get 3 questions. Is everyone okay to grab this? I'm just taking a look to see what everybody's got for responses. Okay, so how confident are you? So pretty confident. That's great. Glad to hear. There should be a second and a third question there. Are you guys seeing more than one question or just the one? Just the one? Okay, hold on a second. Hang on. Pardon me. Maybe it's only going to let me activate one at a time. Okay. All right, here is the next question. So it should be, let's talk about summer. Choose which one most applies to you. Great. Okay, so I'm going to share our responses here. So, nope, except I got the wrong screen. Oh, no, I've got the right one. Okay, so we've got some people who have paid employment in the vet field locked in, amazing, and some people who are looking. Other opportunities like volunteering and internship, and then a couple of people in the other category. If anyone feels comfortable sharing about their other category, that would be amazing because I'd be curious to know what your other category is. And I'm going to activate the second question. Okay, can you see that second question there? The one that says, what are you most hoping to learn tonight? Okay, so especially interviews, great. Okay, efficiency, all of that. Okay, great, thank you. Resumes, interviews. Great. Finding veterinary related jobs and internships. Okay, great. All right, fantastic. I think everybody's locked in there. Thank you. Thanks very much for responding. Okay, so I think we've got a little something for everybody today. Okay. All right, so let me go back to okay. Okay, so I'd love to know from you right now, and this is where I'd love to hear from the collective wisdom, particularly from the people who have found paid employment and you've got your volunteer opportunities lined up. Where are you finding those opportunities? Feel free to unmute. I'd love to hear from you directly.
I found my opportunity through my old high school. They have like this foundation and it's connected to like my state zoo. So I'm able
Cool.
to intern there.
Oh, that's really neat. Great. Thank you.
Mine is through my school. They do summer work over the over the summer with the cattle, poultry sites, and as well as the goat sites as well.
Wonderful. That's a great idea. Good. Those summer research opportunities and summer work job opportunities are amazing. Great. Anybody else? Is anyone looking on LinkedIn or Indeed or anywhere else like that? All righty. Beverly, what do you recommend for summer jobs? Like you worked at Beverly was at VCA, which is one of the biggest employers of veterinarians across the country and lots of summer students. Beverly, where do VCA where do you recommend students start searching?
Yeah, I mean, I think, some of the ones that have already been mentioned, like you said, like reaching back to high school, because they do have a lot, like obviously, like the grade schools have a lot of community connects, and so you just never know who may know who. So I think that that was a great share. And then the summer research projects on your campuses, very, very, very great starts. Anything around agriculture, etc. If you're looking in regards to outside of that, then I would definitely suggest looking online, like so whether it's Banfield Pet Hospital, whether it's working in a PetSmart store, anywhere you can get access to working with pets, with animals, with veterinary and animal husbandry professionals. I think that that's important and a key to be able to add and build your resume and give you just more exposure of what's going on. Definitely encourage you to maybe think about shelters as well too. Is it will open your eyes also to a different aspect of veterinary medicine, and you get access to like shelter medicine veterinarians and their support staff as well. So I think those are some great starting points there that are usually looking for support and looking for help, and more accommodating also to probably part-time support, because I know that being a student, oftentimes your time is a bit more limited, right, in regards to classes and studying, etc. So, and then even over the summertime, you may be able to increase your hours if you have more availability, but being able to maintain that connection, most likely, even while you're in school or during your breaks, I think is key. So, anywhere that really is flexible with part time opportunities is what I would suggest.
Thanks, Beverly. And just be aware too that DVMC does send out a monthly notice. If we get any jobs that come through, we check with our sponsors and all of our sponsor companies to see if they have any summer employment opportunities. So, and also sometimes they come up during the school year too. So they will come right to your inbox. So check your email as well, because we've sent out a few already. So internships with pharmaceutical companies, with pet food companies, and then also in clinical practice. They have a lot of programs at several of the big organizations that employ lots of summer students. So feel free. So please do check your email, because we will be sending those out monthly, and I know a couple have already gone out. So they would have come from info at diversifyvetmed.com, .org. Okay. So, yeah, how do we know what a great resume looks like? Does anybody know what defines a good resume, or other than I got the job?
I want to say a good resume is usually not too busy, more on the simple side, but easy to read and understand. And usually chronological as well, just so it's also easy to understand and read for the employer.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Lots of times we're going to talk about two different types of resume. There's a competency-based one and a chronological-based one. So I'll introduce you to both of those. And then, yeah, and I think short and to the point is really important. Generally, we like resumes to be, and at your stage of career, unless you've already had like another career doing something else, which is also possible, your resume is likely to be 1 to 2 pages at most, and that's great. You don't need to feel like you have to pad it or make it giant. And does anybody know how a curriculum vitae is different than a resume? So CV or curriculum vitae is often used as in an academic setting. So if you're applying to like an academic internship, or if you're applying to an academic residency, you will need a curriculum vitae. So at your stage, again, it's probably going to look similar in length to a resume, but it's just longer. It's usually a little bit more plain Jane, and it usually goes into a lot more detail. So it includes really an exhaustive list of all of the things that you've done, all the placements, all the places you've been. Where for a resume, it really is, resume is the French word a brief, basically something brief. So thinking about what a CV is much longer, but a resume is much shorter. So it's really meant to be just a kind of I don't know, the intro to you, if you will, to get you in the door for an interview. Now, who thinks a cover letter is still important, and who thinks it's time to get rid of cover letters, or with that you don't send cover letters anymore? What do you guys think?
Can y'all hear
Um,
me? Oh, sorry.
oh no, you go, girl.
I'm sorry. I'm setting up for an event at my university with student government. But some companies and schools they do still like cover letters. Me personally, I don't really use my cover letter, but I mean, I think maybe it's time to let go of cover letters because I mean, we are using our resumes and plus we have to do interviews anyway once we apply for opportunities. So, you know, I don't think we should really use them anymore, honestly.
I echo that they're a pain in the butt to make for sure, and it feels like a lot of work, doesn't it? I will echo I've spent far too long like messing around with cover letters. Who else? What else? What does everybody else think? Cover letters? Do you send one when you're sending your job application?
I think cover letters are good, like for a specific, like if you're going for a specific corporation, it just kind of adds like a little enhancement, but I don't think it's like necessary sometimes.
It's nice if you can add one. Certainly, I think it's still it's a way to give yourself a little edge. If you're not providing one, you might miss a mark on if they're using a standardized grading system to measure you, you might not get a point if you don't have a cover letter there. It's also a good way if you got a big st I will say that as somebody who has to review resumes, when we're hiring people, when you get a big stack of resumes, whew, man, like if there's ways that you can stand out, it's really nice to have something that you can stand out. So if they've got a stack of 50 resumes, they're probably going to do a very light skim of of all of your activities and things like that. So a cover letter is just another way to maybe get some more words in front of their eyeballs that they're going to pay attention to. Beverly, I'm curious from your perspective and from your background, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to. I think it was Angel that came off mute and
Oh,
commented about it. I so I think there are definitely times when you for sure should include them, as Melanie mentioned, to stand out more. But I do think there are some times when it's not. Like for example, if you're, you know how we talked about like applying for a job, like a summer job or like a part-time job, just to get continued exposure into veterinary medicine. And let's just say it's PetSmart, it's a shelter, etc. I'm not saying that it wouldn't be a great thing to have, but if you forgot or just didn't include it, I think you're probably okay. But I think again, when you're really looking at more formal spaces, I think that's really important. I will just say in vet med, all like I usually tell students and encourage even us is just know that you're always interviewing. I mean, vet med is a very, very small community, and your impression and your interactions matter. So I would just encourage you guys just take the time to do the cover letter and stand out just a bit more. Because, like I said, you're always interviewing every step of the way even before you get into vet school. All of it's interviewing at the end of the day. So I would encourage you guys to do it.
Yeah, great advice. All right. So, so we talked about that. So, basically, what we're going to talk about a little bit tonight, and you're going to work on it in breakout groups as well, is how to stand out at the top of the pile. We talked about being clear and concise, showing your unique skills and expertise, and make it really easy for the person looking at your resume to see you in the workplace and be like, this person sounds interesting. A colleague of mine used to refer to a resume as like your movie trailer, if you will. And then your interview is more, or it can be like your, the social media clip, like the Reels clip that might be, maybe you look at a movie before you decide to go and sit and invest 2 hours. And then your resume is the full movie trailer. And then the interview is like you're actually sitting down and spending time with them. The person has to be kind of convinced that you're the right person. So it's helpful for them to see how you stand out and how you might fit into the workplace. So, quick questions. What do you guys think about should we be putting bright colors on your resume? What do you guys think? No? Okay. What does everyone else think?
I think they probably should just be in standard black, with the exception of blue if you were going to use a color.
Sometimes people put like a bar color at the top. I think it's not great to have it be all like, have different colors of fonts or different sizes of fonts, a whole bunch of different sizes, or it be very ununiform. But it can sort of be a little bit catchy to have a bar of color or a nice bold blue at the top. What do you think, Beverly, as far as do you disagree? Feel free to disagree with me.
I was just putting in the chat. I actually love like Courtney's call out about the blue, like a dark blue, navy blue, like nothing crazy.
So distinguished, yeah.
Yeah, because you got to remember you don't want it to be distractive.
Mhm.
You really want it to be where it catches their eye, but pulls them into actually glancing over, skimming, or reading actually what you then actually added in regards to your highlight reel, right? So you don't want it to be where they're looking all over the paper because of the colors and because of the designs, and not really thinking about like again like you as an actual applicant. So I agree with
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Yeah, you want to think about I think blue is a lovely color, and certainly thinking about like being a bit more formal. Um, Photos on resumes. What do you guys think about that?
Nobody has an opinion on that.
I'm going to say so.
Down.
Yeah, go ahead, Beverly.
Now just asking them thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah,
Or are you just thinking about it? You're like, wait a minute.
I haven't done it before, so yeah, I would say no. Like, I don't think it's a great idea, and I'll tell you why. Because I think that so I think it leaves the door open for unconscious bias. Um, I think it just isn't something that's necessary. And I think they should look at your resume as what's on the paper. And some people will even just say like they'll say A Robbins or M Barham instead of saying your first name. I think either at the top of their resume. I think either way is fine. And certainly, but I personally don't recommend that to any resume review clients that I have or career coaching clients that I have. And then where do I put my degrees? I'm gonna whip through some of these because I do want to make sure we get into our breakout rooms too. I usually recommend that most people that you can if you put your name at the top and then you put a comma and put any of your post nominals that you have achieved. So for example, if you're a DVM, if you're a veterinarian or you've achieved a vet tech or you've done an undergrad, or even if you're in progress with that, you can write it as DVM and then bracket C for candidate and then close bracket. Um, and then that's right at the top. So then you can actually move where you're going to school way down to the bottom and then have them focus at the top of the scroll before the scroll line. We call it like that first piece of your resume where they're going to cast their eyes first. They're not wasting time being like, oh, she's at this school. She's done a degree here. Because you can already tell it at the top that you're already in veterinary school or you're in a Bachelor of Science, etc. And how do you say you're still doing your degree? You can say candidate. So once you're in the program, you're allowed to say candidate, or you're allowed to, and the short form of that is open bracket C close bracket. Um, and that's how you can denote it on your resume. And then this is the big question that I get often from students. I'm a student like every other student in my class. How am I going to stand out when I'm applying as for a student role? And I'm curious to know how you guys stand out as what do you guys think?
I think it kind of matters what you're going for. Like if you're going for like an ag position and you know like you've been involved in a lot of ag things, then I feel like that will kind of give you more of a boosting advantage. Like let's say it was like an English student doing it or something like that. I feel like it kind of depends where your experience lies and where you're going.
Yeah, that's a great point. And because all of you have all have different backgrounds, you might have participated in different sports and or had different extracurricular activities, or you might have volunteered in different places. That's really where it becomes different. And thinking about how you can represent that so that you do sound and what you're interested in going into, or what skills you're interested in building. Those are important things to put on your resume at the top in your executive summary. Does anybody else have any other ideas about how to stand out, or how can I stand out from the other 100 applicants in my class who are also attending the same school?
I was gonna say really know your strengths. If you know your strengths, I feel like then you'll be able to I can't think of the word, but just really broadcast them to the interviewers so they have a good grasp of who you are.
Yeah, yes, that's exactly right. And we're going to work on that together in just a moment as well. So, or you guys are going to all help each other work on that together. So before we do that, I want to just share about a chronological resume versus a competency-based resume. So a chronological resume is probably what you're used to seeing, where you have your experience at the top, and then you have from January of 2025 to January of 2026, I worked at the Small Plains Companion Animal Hospital, and I was a student there. And then the next one further back and further back and further back. So it goes in order of, and you list your experience right underneath. A competency-based resume is a slightly different way to go about it. And it basically takes the keywords from the job ad, or from your experience, the strengths that you have and the key skills that you have. And then you take all of the bullet points from you put all of the bullet points that match that skill from all the different experiences that you've had, and they're under that. And then later in the resume, on the second piece, there's a listing of from start to finish. Then there's a chronological listing, but there isn't any bullet points underneath of it. So it's just a different way to present it. It does help the person reviewing see the skills that you have and how they apply. So it's a slightly different way to do things. And it's, I think both are correct. It's good to think either way. It's good to think about the strengths that you have and the ways in which you have demonstrated those, or the ways in which you've got those experiences. So the bullet points under, regardless of which resume style you're going with, they tend to look like this idea. So there's usually starts with an action word like founded, the context, which you actually did. No, I don't know why it's doing that. Founded the Latinx chapter and grew the membership to 50 members. Can you guys see the screen still, or is it showing up weird? Is that okay?
It's fine.
Okay. Yes, there's action, and then there's context, and then there's an outcome. So designed and delivered 6 events that raised over $1,000 for the Latinx Club. So the outcome, the action word, and then the context, and then the outcome. And you really want to focus on your actions. So you'll notice it doesn't say we, or we as a team did this. It's really what you did, and so what you can take ownership of. So we're going to work on that, and you guys are going to go into your breakout rooms. It does often feel like when you go to pick up your pen and be like, what did I do? It sometimes feels like, I don't know that I can I'm not sure that I can take credit for that, or I'm not sure if I really did, if I can really say that. So it's a practice that we have to do. And actually, this is really good. It's really good practice for interviews as well, because all of those bullet points kind of racking up what you did and what the outcome was, that's really how you're going to tackle an interview question when somebody says, give me an example of a time that you might have had to take some initiative. Oh, well, I can tell you about the time that I designed and delivered some events that raised $1,000 for the Latinx Club. That's a great way to think about it, and it's a good way to do interview prep when you're really thinking about it in this context. So you're doing kind of double duty at the same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you guys to go into breakout rooms, and I'm going to ask you guys to brainstorm between each other, and I'm going to ask you to help each other because it's going to be hard. It can feel very hard to come up with what you're really competent at or and if you feel like you don't have any competencies, then I would encourage you to ask one another, like ask each other some questions to figure out what competencies you feel like you're really good at. And then one example of how you've demonstrated that competency so that you could put that in as a bullet point on your resume, or you could think about it as an interview prep question. So I'm going to when you guys go into the breakout rooms, I'm going to copy and paste this into the chat, and I'll broadcast it to you. But basically, if somebody's stuck, ask them about their interests, ask them how they're involved with their interests, what your proudest moment is of this year, maybe, or in the past couple of years, and then try and repeat it back to them just to try and pick out what the strength might be, or like, geez, that really sounds like you might have a strength in XYZ. Oh, I have a friend here joining me. Hi, Betty. Hi. Okay. All right, I'm going to pop you guys into breakout rooms. Ben, you want to help do some resumes? Okay. Yeah? All right. Let's see how many have we got here. 2. Okay, we'll just do 2. All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to pop you into 2 rooms. You're going to have about 10 minutes to brainstorm together, okay? Then we'll come back together. So you'll get a little pop-up that says join breakout room.
And Melanie, there may be another student possibly joining.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right, I'm just going to see if there's anybody in the waiting room.
Okay.
Keep an eye on that. Okay. Let me just find some place for Ben to go. I will be right back.
No worries.
So breakout room 2, tell me about who was in breakout room 2. That's Chanel, Jacia, and Nora, and Tamara. Tell me about what you guys worked on. What were your skills that you decided on?
I can go first. One of the ones I said was organizing. I said organizing slash managing teams, just because I organized my club's multiple fundraisers, and was able to task out roles to different people in the club that we successfully raised a lot of money enough to be able to do a program at Disney World. And be able to do that. And it was originally supposed to be us being able to go to their veterinary clinic section, but it closed a little bit before we were able to be there. But we still were able to raise the money and organize everything for it to be able to go and have a good time.
Wow, that's amazing. Well done. Cool. That's awesome. That sounds fantastic. Really love how you shared that story as well. So I think that was a really good way I think that was a very good way to share that. And as far as, so you've got your action word at the beginning, and then you've also managed the project. And then I guess I'd maybe quantify how many people were on your team, or how many people did you kind of delegate tasks for?
It was 15 people total that went. So we were the ones responsible for creating the ideas for the fundraisers and working them and all that good stuff.
So I would even say like designed, organized, and delivered multiple fundraisers.
Yeah.
And do you know how much you raised, like a rough ballpark?
We were able to raise, I'd say 18, eight, 18, around $18,000, yeah.
Gosh, my
I'm
God.
sorry, 1,800, sorry.
God dang, good work. That's amazing. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's great. And it was Disneyland, like, I don't know, some sort of medical program or veterinary program or something like
It
something.
was supposed to be us going and seeing their behind the scenes veterinary clinics and how they take care of their animals there, but it kind of didn't work out that way. But it was turned into a leadership conference kind of thing after that.
Fantastic. Great. Maybe we'll say that. Okay, that sounds great. Okay, who else wants to share? And who else had a strength that they would feel comfortable sharing?
I said observant. Well, one of my teammates helped me come up with the word observant. At first, I said attention to detail, but we thought observant might be a little better. So I work at a vet clinic and I'm in a mix between the front and the back of the house. So I'm in charge of pulling up some drugs and stuff and making sure the labels have the correct dosage, it's going to the correct client, and also observant in the way that sometimes when I'm up front, I'm responsible for checking in patients who may be more aggressive than others or they may have allergies. So that's really important to take note of in the notes when you're checking in before they get to the back of the house.
I like that. And then yeah, I love that. So yeah, Beverly, what do you think? How could we work this into, I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah,
I'm happy to work with it.
yeah.
What,
So
how
I
should we write that?
yeah, I actually love this. So I like how you capture like detail oriented,
Yeah.
um, in patient, how would I say it? Like detail oriented in patient care to elevate quality medicine or medical quality, something like that.
Yeah, let's see, like maybe responsible
Yeah, responsible for.
um for drawing up medications, monitoring correct dosages. Do you ever do like anesthetic monitoring or anything like that, or doing and checking in patient in charge of
Not
care,
anesthetic monitoring just yet, but just still with the
maybe
regular
dispensing
pharmaceuticals.
mm, dosages, and then maybe also I think I really like this idea of like noting the aggressive animals and checking patients in and ensuring like. And it's not always about just the pets that are going to be aggressive and grumpy. It's about the people too. So if you're noticing those things too, that's important as well. So checking in patients and clients. Um, maybe flagging
Yeah.
aggressive animals or something like these. How does that sound?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then yeah, if you were gonna, I loved how actually how you shared that is how I might share it in an interview too. Like I think that was a great way to share it as that you were very specific with the examples that you gave. So I think that would be a perfect way to use that in an interview. Does anybody else want to share one? Was anyone stuck on what they might have a strength in or what or an example that they might have had? Okay. So that was kind of that was the breakout room area. And I wondered, are there questions that we didn't answer and things that you'd like to ask questions of? Because you have the Dr. Beverly Miller here who has hired a bajillion doctors over the years, who would be an excellent person to ask. And I'm also happy to answer any questions as well,
I
especially as you're teaching.
do.
Yes, please go ahead.
I do have one question. So right now I'm working at Banfield Pet Hospital, but I'm trying to get as many pet hours as vet experience hours as possible, but I'm doing a mix of the front and the back of the house. So I was gonna ask, when it comes to applying for vet school for vet hours, is it only the back of the house that counts as vet experience, or is it the front as well?
Print as well, I think.
Yeah, it's all of it.
Mhm.
It's
The
all of
fact
it.
that you're in a vet hospital is wonderful. You're around the animals. Like realistically, what they're looking for in those vet hours, they want to know that you are committed to the profession and that you have some idea of what goes on. Like that's the whole reason behind them. So I think anything that you're in a veterinary practice or in any kind of animal husbandry role, I think that certainly counts. It's experience with animals, it's experience in what it might be like to be a veterinarian.
Okay, thank you. The only reason why I was confused is because I know in the Vimcast they were like explicitly, I said the wrong word. They were very I can't even think of the word right now, but they were very I can't think of the word. But the point is they were very adamant about making sure that you were under the actual veterinarian when it came to the hours, but obviously like when I'm in the front, I'm not, necessarily under them at all times.
You're
So
still working under the veterinarian at the hospital, like Beverly. I don't, yeah, I think I can see you nodding. So I think that's right. Like I
That is
think we use all of those. Yeah.
okay, perfect.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because even with working up front, it's still under the direct supervision of the veterinarian who's on site and working that day, our veterinarians. But yes, so it all counts. Absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
No,
Any
great
other
question.
questions about applying for summer jobs or applying for paid positions or unpaid positions? Yes, go ahead.
I had a question, kind of similar as well. Since most of my hands-on hours, they come from actually working with them rather than working directly under a veterinarian or necessarily in a clinical area, more so with handling and day-to-day care, that type of thing. So I guess having the uneven amount of hours or uneven experience in that way, how do you think that will play into my resume or how they would look at me?
Want to answer that, Beverly?
Yeah, I think that's a great call it as well. I would just say when any any interaction period within vet medicine counts towards your clinical hours as far as for that, right? Sometimes it's not always where you're working directly with an actual veterinarian. Maybe it's where you are working in a clinical setting, but more of your one-on-one training skills, insights, etc., may come from a veterinary technician, etc. They really don't ask that specifically on the application. Now, speaking to that during your interview, um, I think you could pull that in, right? Because then it gives your interviewer or like the admission board, etc. I think it gives them more context to wow, you've really been exposed and you've really taken to being receptive to different um, exposures or aspects of like the profession. So I think that that's fine to kind of ad lib on, but all of it counts. And so definitely I would encourage you just to yeah like to count all of it, whether it's shelter, volunteer work that counts, as well too. Reception work, as you said, in a veterinary hospital, because you're learning a lot up front, let me tell you. You're getting exposed to a lot. Because again, remember, veterinary medicine also is about engaging with that pet owner,
Mhm.
or with that farmer, etc., whatever, right? So you're trying to really gather information, you're trying to establish a relationship so that you can get more information, more details, so you can put the puzzle together and obviously help support the care of that animal or that pet. Well, so all of it counts. So that's a great question, though. But yeah, all of it. And if anybody else has anything to add, I don't know if anyone else has had a different experience or any different type of feedback. Um, Again, I apologize. I'm still new. I'm still learning everybody. Sydney, I see where you're on. I see you have a stethoscope around your neck. Sorry, I'm very observant.
I know.
So
I
I
was looking at you,
see-
Sydney, because you have that stuff. I was like, I want to know from Sydney. It's just Sydney. Do you have any different advice or have a different experience?
yes.
In
Sorry,
just
not to
this
put you on the
sense,
spot.
no, it's okay. In just the sense of like listing your veterinary hours differently.
Or how that might play out on, I think Jason was asking
Yeah.
how that might play out on the application.
Yeah. Um, I I think most of my job was like in the back of the house. Like I had a veterinary role and I was pretty much in the back of the house, but I still did a lot of reception work and I just lumped it all together. I don't think anyone ever like questioned it or like asked me to specify like, are you sure your 2,100 hours were all, in the back of the house? And like, no, I think you're totally fine lumping it all together. And I don't think they have like thousands of applicants. They can't like go through and skim and make sure like everyone is putting them all like organized right. So I think you'll be okay kind of lumping them all together.
I would say that if you're doing it, like for example, if you're working animal husbandry at the college for the summer, those are research animals likely. So there's likely a veterinarian that's overseeing you. So if there's and if and if your person, if your boss knows that you're interested in vet med, maybe they can connect you with that veterinarian. We have two students at UMass, and they both have a really strong mentor with the veterinarian that's on the large animal side of things that oversees the research herd. So there, or if there's a vet coming that day, even if you don't have a vet school at your hospital or at your college, there certainly is a veterinarian that's overseeing those research animals. So you can maybe get connected with them. So that may be another way to go as well. And Sydney, thank you for sharing that too. I really appreciate that advice as well. Angel, go ahead with your question.
I was just gonna ask, like, what are like some soft skills or like buzzwords that you look for on the applications, or that are like looked for on applications?
On job applications?
Yes. Sorry, like job internship opportunities.
Yeah, so actually, I usually recommend using the language that they have in the job ads. So there's often keywords that you'll see, and there's synonyms for what you have. So, like organizing and managing teams, that's a pretty good one. But they might call it something slightly different. So you can mirror what's in the job ad. And so, like, they might say observant or they might say detail oriented. So they're kind of synonyms. You can just change the heading, and it's very similar without having to change your bullet points too much. Or they might say like conflict management. So you just move your bullet points around a little bit if you're trying, or just modify them slightly. So it's just sometimes about changing the heading. Does that make sense, Angel?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
It does.
Oh, thank you, Sydney. That's awesome. Sydney, that's a lovely offer. Any other questions, folks? All right. Well, I hope that that was helpful. I am going to ask, oh, Sydney, do you have LinkedIn? Great question.
I do, I do. I think it's under my name. I don't know if you guys can see that, but Sydney Paris. I can also type it in the chat, or type the link in. I just have to look for it really quick, but I can pop
You're
it in
gonna
the
get some
chat really
emails.
quick.
That's good. Good deal. Yeah, so that was the start of it. I do have so I have one last question for Poll Everywhere, and I wonder if I can open that up again. I will just go back to that. Um, oh, I have two questions actually. All right, so let me grab the Poll Everywhere link again. Okay, I'm going to ask you the first question, and then there's one other question that I'm going to ask you. So tonight we talked about resumes, job applications, job interviews. After tonight's session, you feel you will not offend me in any way, shape, or form. Anonymous answers. This is mostly for our program evaluation, so we know what to do differently next time. All right. Okay, let's see, hopefully everybody got a chance to answer. And then I always ask this next question because otherwise we often just go on to our next thing and we don't think about it anymore. So I'm going to activate the second question here. It's one thing that you're going to do for your career or try before next session, before we meet again in March. It's one thing that you might do for your career or to advance your job applications, etc. Oh, I love sitting with your advisor. That's super great. Yeah, excellent. Okay, love that. Excellent. And I will say too, if you are, I know you guys have just had your one-on-ones, but if you want to, if you're struggling to find a summer job or you need some support in doing that, we will often be able to connect you with roles, or at least point you in the right direction. So if you haven't found a job yet, certainly now is the time to apply, because your April will come up quickly. And now I know you're not in exams if you're in school, so it's a great time to be applying. A lot of those summer research jobs are coming up, but so freshen up your resume, but feel free to reach out to myself or Beverly. And if you don't have a job yet, just let us know. It's helpful for us to know what area you're looking for a job in, geographical, and then what area of vet med. And then, yeah, and then where you're struggling, I guess, because it's really helpful. It's just be helpful. We probably 95% of our students last year were employed. So I'd love to see that stat again. And we want to make sure that you have the experience that you need to advance in your career, whether that's in vet school and you're moving towards graduation and you want to have all the opportunities that you want to have, or if it's you're trying to get into vet school and you need some more opportunities. So feel free to reach out to us. Great, because the time is now. So have a great evening. Thank you so much for joining us. And thanks for being really wonderful, active participants. It was great to hang out with you.
Yes, yeah, we're such a great group.
Aren't they the best? It's so great. And thank you for welcoming Beverly. And Beverly and I will be off to Orlando. So wish us luck where we're going to be warm and sunny and in a conference center. All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.